I would like to call to order the regularly scheduled Village Council meeting for the Village of Beverly Hills for Tuesday, May 5th, 2026. Ms. Brown, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Aboud?
Here.
Mr. Drummond?
Here.
Mr. George?
Here.
Ms. Radusco?
Here.
Ms. Kescometti? Mr. Mercer?
Here.
Mr. O'Gorman?
Here.
We have a quorum.
All right, with that, would you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you.
Mr. George, if I may, at this time, I'd like to move that we excuse Ms. Kescometti's absence tonight since she is ill.
Support.
Support from Mr. O'Gorman. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. With that business out of the way, are there any amendments to the agenda or a motion to approve the agenda?
At this time, I'd like to move that we approve the agenda as published.
Second.
Second for Mr. Drummond. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we have an agenda. On to community announcements. Are there any announcements from the community this evening? Online or in chamber? Hearing none, we'll move on to public comments. If anyone in the audience would like to make a public comment, you just need to step to the podium, give us your name and your street.
In trying to complete a project that was completed last year. Now, I spoke with a few people of the building department with a lot of resistance. I was sent away. I was told to go to Franklin. Went to Franklin. They said, no, you don't belong here because of your address. Called Southfield. They said, you don't belong here either. Go back to Beverly Hills when they already sent me out. So then when I came back, they're saying, oh, you do belong here. And then I received an email saying you have to go to zoning in Southfield. I need clarification as to where I belong because I need this project completed.
Right.
I need some accountability.
Yeah.
When a resident is coming, they're coming to the department to which they're supposed to be helped, but they're sent away with so much resistance. I have nothing to do with how they identified my property, but I would like for some assistance and understanding. I understand that some people don't know, you know, but when I reach out via email, telephone, no callback, no response to the emails. But for the project, I already had a project last year, okay? So why am I sent somewhere else for the second project, okay? And then there's no response as to why my project is not approved from last year. Now, I need to come back to you guys if I'm supposed to be here to address that. Because my project, which is a retaining wall, is being identified as a deck. So the rules or the ordinances or the codes that they're referring to, it relates to a deck. When it was on the email that I sent to the inspector, Townsend, that these are retaining walls, not decks. So nothing is clear, but I don't want to keep going in circles.
Right.
I need this to be put on record so someone can look into this and actually give me some idea of where I belong so I can stick with that department in that city and resolve this issue.
Super. Okay. Sorry that you're having problems. I'll try to give you some guidance. If we have a piece of paper so that you can give your contact information to Ms. Brown, I'm sure she will help you get to the right people. This is probably, and I say probably because the extent of what we do administratively for Franklin, there might be an administrative agreement on that kind of thing. Like, to the best of my knowledge, Southfield proper has nothing to do with this, but it could be that there's an agreement between Franklin and Southfield that I wouldn't understand. Southfield Township, which is Bingham Farms, Franklin, Beverly Hills, there are 7-ish houses that are Southfield Township houses, but are not part of either Franklin or Beverly Hills. And so we have agreements where we respond for, say, police and fire for residents that are Southfield Township residents but are not Beverly Hills residents.
Okay.
So this might be that kind of thing. I would bet Ms. Brown can get you sorted out with who we should talk to. So I would start there. Mr. Othie, sitting right there, is in charge of, he is the Chief Administrative Officer of the village. So I am sure between the two people sitting to your right, we can get you sorted out. Why they're telling you the project is something other than what you're saying it is, that I can't solve here. But as far as getting you to the right people, I'm sure they can do that.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Teresa Caverly, Beverly Road. I was here 2 weeks ago to raise my concern about the volume of traffic, but especially the speeding of traffic on Beverly Road between Greenfield and Southfield. And I was just hoping to get an idea of what the council's possible next steps might be. If I could get some feedback.
Okay, thank you. And I will say, most times this is supposed to be public comment, so I'm trying to get her sorted out since, yeah. No, you're fine. All I'm saying is I'm not going to dialogue on everything. We'll try to take it offline. We need to talk to public safety, and this is a public safety and public works conversation. So not that they won't bring us ideas and then it'll ultimately come back here, but between last week and or 2 weeks ago and now, I don't know that we've gotten anything done. So on that front.
Director Arnold could probably give an update during his regularly scheduled report tonight.
So
Perfect.
all right. Any other public comments? Yes, sir.
David Tababa, North Ridgeway Court. I was looking through my parliamentary procedure, trying to find if there's a way that a mere resident can request a correction to minutes, and I found none. So I'm here in public comments to see if I could get a small correction to the minutes of the April 14 meeting. And if you recall, that was the meeting, and my comment is recorded there, where I was asking about the overspend of the TAP grant on the sidewalks. But what the comments, the public comments in the minutes don't recall is there was a conversation after that where I think I got the intent of the village to go back and review the process and try to understand where we spent $1.2 million over and above what was in the original village cost of that project. With the intent that, one, residents, myself included, understand how that could happen, and two, more importantly, so that we know where the problems occurred, so that going forward, looking forward to the next big project, which I think is the 13-mile rebuild, we don't have the same reoccurrence of that kind of an issue. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Anyone else? All right, then we will move on from public comments to the consent agenda. There are 4 items on the consent agenda this evening. Number 1, approve April 14th, 2026 special council meeting minutes. Number 2, approve April 21st, 2026 council minutes, regular and closed session. Number 3, review and file bills recapped as of May 4th, 2026. And number 4, first announcement of various commission and board vacancies.
Mr. George, at this time, be it resolved that the Village Council of the Village of Beverly Hills approve the consent agenda as read.
Support.
Support for Mr. O'Gorman. Ms. Brown, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Drummond?
Yes.
Mr. George?
Yes.
Ms. Radusco?
Yes.
Mr. Mercer?
Yes.
Mr. O'Gorman?
Yes.
Mr. Aboud?
Yes.
Motion passed.
All right, thank you. Then on to the business agenda we move. Number 1 on the business agenda, and before we start this, I'll thank somebody on council for reviewing the resolution to read it, since Mrs. Cascometti was going to do that, and she's not here. So if anyone wants to brush up on that while we're talking about this, that'd be great. Number 1 on the business agenda, award bid for installation of Beverly Park playground equipment. Mr. Othie.
Yes, so I'll go back a little bit more in time, but at the dawn of the 21st century, the Village Parks Board and Village Council last obtained a grant from the DNR to install a playground at Beverly Park. The playground was installed in around 2002. I think Councilman Mercer was new-ish to the village then, or at least he seemed like it when I was talking to him last week. He remembers when his kids were younger and they enjoyed the playground equipment. Here we are, fast forward to 2026. Before you this evening is a bid award to install the previously purchased playground equipment. This is funded through $600,000 of grants from both the Michigan DNR and Oakland County. So the net spend for the village this evening we're looking at is $58,513.61. I have a lot of documents in the packet about the history, the different financial changes that have gone along with this project. I know many members of the council have been here since 2023 when council began taking formal action on this. Essentially, what is different than 2023? The playground equipment is the same. The type of turf and everything is the same. There just happens to be much more of it. The original bid, the original cost, which included the playground equipment itself, was $686,000, and this included 6,200 square feet of synthetic turf. In order to maximize the grant dollars, when the council and the Parks Board decided to move on and amend scope to capture the grant dollars back at their January meeting, it was decided to remove all the wood chips from the project and make a more permanent, durable, cost-effective surfacing. And that increased the amount of turf from 149% from 6,000 square feet again to just over 15,000 square feet. Turf is very expensive. For reference, of the original 686,000, 181,000 of that was for turf. And again, that was only for 6,000 square feet. Now we're getting 15,000 and some change. So the project scope as considered by council in 23 is different from today. It's not an apples to apples thing. We are required to go with the low bidder from the DNR, which is JSS McComb LLC. They've done plenty of playground projects in the Southeast Michigan area. We have a representative from them here to talk to us should council have questions. We also have Stacy Tobar from OHM who prepared the bid specifications. If there are more of those technical questions of besides turf, what else did you have to change with the scope, and how does last year's package compare with this year's bid package? But again, at this time, we're seeking a resolution which would allow us to move forward with the bid as well as implement some budget amendments that are necessary for this project, primarily because the fiscal year 25 budget, which began July 1 of 24, assumed we would have had the playground before then. So it wasn't a part of this fiscal year budget, excuse me. That's wrapping up. So again, that's a very high level. I'm happy to answer more questions. Director Johnston, JSS, OHM, they're all here. And I'll turn it over to the council.
Okay, so there is on page 51 of the packet some of Mr. Othie's math on the difference between the original bid and where we're winding up. So for the Reader's Digest version for people who haven't been sitting here dealing with this since before March 21st, 2023, when we originally, council voted unanimously to approve the expenditure for the playground. Before we had any grant money, we voted to spend $686,252.11 to install the new play structure and do turf just around the circle. As you know, there's a big circle in the middle with a park bench, and okay, let's have a zero barrier to entry to get everybody off of the concrete. Kept it to wood chips on the back side of the circle to keep the cost down because we were already spending $686,000. We approved that expenditure, bought the playground equipment, then got notice that we got grant money from the Department of Natural Resources. So we got $500,000 from the DNR Spark grant, $100,000 from Oakland County. So we had $600,000, and we said, with a required match on part of it, we said, great, we actually are under by a couple bucks what we need to spend. Then we found out that through years of trying, there was no way that the DNR was going to allow us to use the grant dollars for the playground equipment because we'd already purchased it. So we had to move to spending it solely on installation and anything else we wanted. That additional what we wanted was to make that all turf. So we increased the turf cost, increased it from 6,000 to 15,000 square feet, which is about 149% increase. If you count the money we spent on the playground equipment plus the money we have to authorize tonight, we come in at something like $381,000. I don't know from your exhibits here if that includes the money we had to spend to hire a prime professional, all of those things. But point is, we are down, by my math, somewhere 45% below what we authorized in 2023, and we have full turf instead of partial turf. So not where we thought we'd wind up originally, where we thought we'd wind up in the middle, but still we are in a much better position for much less money. It just took a long time to get there. So
Very long time.
So that's my recap. Council, any questions, comments? Yes.
I just want to make a comment to the public and recognize the fact that we hoped that we would have this park installed 2 years ago, and that we understand that there's a little bit of frustration, or I think we're all frustrated about the fact that it took as long as it did. But I think that we will now have a better product for people that come and play at the park. It's now fully accessible to anyone at all areas of the park, where before there was sort of an island that could be easily accessed on wheels and part that couldn't. And so while I think that we all wish that it was happening a lot sooner than it is, I think overall the finished product is going to be of better service to the community. And we've learned a lot along the way. So I want to thank residents for their patience as we sometimes not so gracefully work our way through this process. And I'm looking forward to an install date. I had a group of Girl Scouts here earlier tonight, and they are anxiously awaiting checking out the new park.
Anyone else? Questions, comments? Anyone online or in chamber? Public have questions, comments? Oh, Mr. Mershon.
Thank you, President George. Mr. Rothy, could you remind me what our obligations are to the grant as far as the match that we have on these? It's $600,000, $500K from the DNR, and $100K from Oakland County. We have a match that we have to obligation on that, or does that just come straight off the total?
So the DNR grant is for 80% of the project costs, or $500,000, whichever is less. But we can use the Oakland County grants to go towards our match of the remaining 20% between the two. So and I don't believe the Oakland County grant has a match component to it. So $658,000, 100% of the grant funds, going to be able to be utilized, I believe. And it'll leave us with an estimated out of pocket of $410,000 in total across buying the playground equipment and this next install.
Right. Okay, so $658,000 is the amount that we're approving tonight. $500,000 of that, as long as we have 20% match in that, which we do, So it leaves 158,000 minus the 100,000, so we're about 58,000 plus the price of the playground equipment.
Correct.
And we come in somewhere in the neighborhood of a lot less than 686,000, which we requested a couple years ago.
Yes.
3.
It's been a minute. It's
Yep,
been a minute.
which the savings from the original plan, just to put it in context, is a little bit more than what the recreation millage, or parks millage currently generates in a single year. So it's kind of like we had a year, of the millage funds in savings. It's not, that doesn't mean we saved money, but it's just to put it in context, that is not an insignificant amount of savings.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Abud.
Thank you, Mr. George. As it was 3 years ago, is there any way I could just get somebody to kind of just go over everything that we're getting, just a quick overview, what items? Is it, or is there a rendering? I didn't see, should I go back to the main rendering?
A lot of turf.
There's
That's a good
a
thing.
quarter of a football field of turf. I mean, we didn't put the renderings in here because this is a bid for installation.
Okay.
So, I mean, we can search up.
It's this, if you go to the March 21st, 23
21st?
packet, it's,
Yeah.
the equipment is exactly the same.
Okay, with the exception of the turf.
Yes, just
Yeah.
more turf.
And then it was ADA compliant, if I'm not mistaken? Mm-hmm. Okay, that's all, thank you.
Blue turf, is that correct?
No,
Green.
please, no. Is that a joke?
What are you, Boise State fan now?
Yeah, that's what Smurf turf. I heard they're doing yellow at the big house. I figured we'd
Oh,
funfetti.
that'd be fun.
All right. Any other questions or comments? If not, Mrs. Rajewsko, do you have a resolution to finally, and I don't know if you want to speak to timing, since people might ask.
Do we have timing yet, or are we still waiting on timing?
I was looking at you. So.
Yes. You probably don't want us to rip it up before Memorial Day, correct?
No,
Right.
You want to keep the current playground in there
yes.
for Memorial
Yeah.
Day?
We don't want a million kids
While
running around.
Bobcats
in
would be
it.
fun to play on during the Memorial Day parade, I think probably.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, so shortly after, I believe the contractor could start before
Memorial Day.
Memorial Day, but we'll wait till after. So we'll get a schedule and pre-con meeting next week, and then we'll have a much clearer answer for the community. One of the things I want to do is get a big coming soon sign with like a rendering of what it'll look like. So when it is the middle of summer and it's beautiful and all the kids are on spring break and they can't go on the playground, they'll at least be
Aware of what?
summer break. This is not a good day for me.
Words are hard sometimes.
Yes, somebody give me some coffee.
Hang on, Rock's got one other question.
Just remind me what we're doing with the old playground, just curious.
Scrap,
Scrap, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
Right?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
One other question, because I'm sure people are going to ask, do we know, we said eight-ish weeks for installation? 2 months? Yeah.
Yeah, if you want to step to the podium, just so we can, step to the podium. I know, you got to be on camera and so people can
You're
hear.
going to be famous.
It should take about 8 weeks to build it.
Okay.
There may be a lag time between the time that we do the demolition, install the playscape, get everything prepped for the turf while we're waiting for the turf. The turf is going to be the wild card and how long it's going to take to get it. We're going to order it just as soon as we have the pre-construction meeting and you approve our contract. So they're saying it's about 6 to 7, 8 weeks to get the turf.
Okay.
Okay?
And it will still be closed before the turf is put in?
Oh, yeah. I'm going
Okay.
to put up a fence all the way around it so that there
Okay.
won't be anybody to go in there.
Okay, there's going to be some anxious kiddos, so I just want to make
Yeah, we
sure
won't
that I
let them-
can.
We don't want them on there.
Yeah.
They can't be on the playscape without the turf in.
Okay, that's good to know. Okay,
While you're up there, sir, is the turf the last thing that goes in, or is it?
The turf will be the
continuous
second to
work
last thing that
progress?
goes in. The last thing that'll be going in will be the restoration and our soil erosion mat going out. That'll be the last thing. We'll take that out, do all the restoration. That'll be the last thing.
Thank you.
And all the warranty on the playground equipment remains the same and intact, so.
okay,
I couldn't tell you what the terms are or anything, but the warranty is still.
that's what it was.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
I'll get back to you on that one.
Okay,
All right. Anything else before we move to a resolution?
okay. Be it resolved, the Beverly Hills Village Council hereby awards the bid for installation of the Beverly Park Playground to JSS McComb LLC in the amount of $658,513.61. Funds are available in account number 208-900-970.01. Be it further resolved, the Beverly Hills Village Council authorizes Finance Director to amend the fiscal year 2026 budget as proposed.
Support.
Support for Mr. Aboud. Ms. Brown, would you please call the roll?
Mr. George?
Yes.
Ms. Rodusco?
Yes.
Mr. Mercer?
Yes.
Mr. O'Gorman?
Yes.
Mr. Aboud?
Yes.
Mr. Drummond?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Fantastic. Thank you. Looking forward to that being done.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, on to business agenda item number 2, award proposal. Before we move on to that, I assume we'll make a note to reach out to anyone with a pavilion reservation in the expected
Yes,
construction
once we
period to
have
let them.
once we have that finalized, we will contact
Good deal.
everybody.
All right. Number 2 on the business agenda, award proposal for Village Master Plan update and zoning ordinance rewrite. Mr. Rothy.
First, I'll say this is 100% funded by a grant with no local match requirement. We are not required to bid professional services, however we endeavored to do so this time, knowing that we would probably get a wide range of bids for our master plan and zoning ordinance rewrite, which is again a multi-year project. We have a recommendation to proceed with the proposal submitted by Giffords Webster, who is still coming in about $50,000 under what we have grants for. Director Steck is here, who can explain more on why we want to move forward with Giffords Webster and just kind of what the project will entail. So I'm going to turn it over to her at this time.
Good evening, all. So, as Manager Rothy said, we bid this out hoping and expecting to get a variety of proposals, and we did. We had 7 proposals that were submitted, which is really exciting. Most of them were local. We did have a couple of out-of-state proposals. That RFP was released in February. We had originally estimated approximately $150,000 for this combined project. And we got a range that reflected that, and lower and higher, and so we had a lot to consider as we went through this. Each of the proposals was very high quality. They all addressed in some way, shape, or form what we were after, right? And really, while I've outlined and gone down in detail more in the memo, it really comes down to the level of community engagement and outreach that was done, and the level of concurrence between performing the master plan update and the zoning ordinance. Typically, those are done as very separate processes, right? The master plan first, go through all the engagement, and there's a lot of engagement, then adopt, and then you move into the zoning ordinance. And that typically results in a lot of survey fatigue. You're not going to necessarily get a good engagement from the public. And what I've learned from the last 2 years is that our public likes to be engaged. They have thoughts, they have opinions, they like to share them, and I think these are the perfect processes for this. So really going through, again, all of those proposals, there was some, like the two or lower bidders, they really focused more on the master plan. And while our master plan is very important, we all know that our zoning ordinance is really where substantial work needs to happen. The 2 higher ones far exceeded even our estimates. The one far exceeded the grant amount, right? So, which really left us with the middle 2, and the middle 2 being Giffords Webster and McKenna. Both of them had very high quality proposals. They both had a lot of public engagement and communication. But really, I think it's the varied level of engagement from Giffords Webster, right? They've got a variety of kind of analog, in-person, community engagement that they like to do. They also have a lot of digital online, different steering committees, focus groups. One of the things that I personally like about their proposal is their enthusiasm for engaging with students, which I think is something that is often missed in the master planning process. I mean, it is intended to keep, what do we want our community to be? These are the perfect kids, the perfect people, if we want to keep them. So, and I also think one of the very important pieces that they have in their proposal is a comprehensive audit of both the master plan as it exists today and with the zoning ordinance. And they've already actually done a little bit of work with our zoning ordinance because they provided some training to our zoning board of appeals a couple years ago. So there's already a level of familiarity. They're not the low bid, they're the number 4 bid. Their total, including contingency, is $151,673. This is, as Manager Rothy said, completely covered with the grant funds from the Michigan Economic Development Corporation. So they will be working, and it's a very integrated process, probably the most integrated process of the proposals we received, kind of mixing in, like, here's some master plan questions. All right, the next time we're going to talk about zoning and really work on this together. They are proposing a 24-month process, which lines up with the grant parameters. And I think that they are very well suited to be working with our community. They're based in Birmingham. Their offices were in Lathrop Village at one point in time. They've done extensive work on our Southfield Road corridor from their time in Lathrop Village all the way to now, so they're very familiar with the corridor challenges, with the community itself. I think we're all going to like their zoning ordinance. It's very easy to read, lots of graphics, and really making this the best project that we could possibly have. So my recommendation is that we go with Giffords Webster and get moving on this project as soon as we possibly can.
All right, questions? Yes, sir, Mr. O'Gorman.
For the grant, it's a preliminary or provisional right now. Are we super confident that's?
Yes, we are super confident. I've already had a couple of conversations with our grant liaison. We are the first out of the gate for this project, or for this pot of funding, I should say. Really, it's an administrative formality on their end. It has to go to their
Michigan Strategic Fund is a board that only meets ever so often. Is it next month or this month they're meeting? But within the next few weeks, they're the final group that has to say yes. So that's why, as part of the motion, should the worst somehow happen. But my experience with sending things to, in other communities I've worked in, the Michigan Strategic Fund, once it gets in their pipeline, it doesn't come back. It's not rejected in any way, shape, or form.
And the second question is criteria for the funds, the grant. We've met all their kind of fine writing requirements as far as bids or lowest bid. There's none of that type of stuff we have to deal with?
None of that kind of, their only requirement was don't award anything until you hear back from us.
That's what I was going to ask next, is if we're going through with this approval, is that prior to the grant being awarded, and therefore we should postpone this decision?
Nope. This is our formality. They don't actually even need council to approve this. They could just say, all right, here you go. But we know from our process that we need to have council approval to award this.
No,
They're aware that we're taking, that I'm.
I just want to make sure, we've seemed to have in the past, prove something, and it's going from history, so, okay. Just wanted to make sure.
I appreciate that.
Mr. Abud.
Thank you. Thanks for the explanation. 3 things. Number 1, is it a mandatory process to do the master plan?
Yes.
Okay, 5 years, every 5 years?
Every 5 years, it has to be reviewed and adopted or updated as necessary.
Thank you. So I understand that it's 151,000 or somewhere in that realm. and we're getting 200,000 as a grant. What are we going to do with the difference, or we only use what we're going to use, 150, and leave the other 49 on the table, or how does that work?
So the grant itself is a reimbursement grant, right? So we are authorized up to 200. So if for some reason,
My next question is going to lead up to that, but keep
yeah,
going.
if for some reason, there is about $7,400 built into the GIFL's proposal for contingency. If for some reason that went above and beyond, the grant would be able to cover those funds. I mean, really, I envision this as we use what we need to use. If that means, we leave $30,000 or so on the table, we could do that. I also imagine that there's a potential for other plans that could come out of this master plan and zoning ordinance project that may tie into that, and there may be an opportunity to go back to the MEDC and say, hey, this has come out of our planning process. Would we be allowed to use the remaining funds or any remaining funds towards this? And see what they have to say.
Economic development, obviously.
Yep.
And then, having said that, and I don't want to go backwards, I want to move forward. So is the Planning Commission going to take a look at the overlay district as part of our plan, the master plan moving forward?
The Planning Commission will be looking at all of the districts. It'll be taking a holistic view of the entire community, both from a master planning process and from a zoning process as well.
I just want to make sure that that is something that we're going to look
Absolutely,
at based on some comments from the last meeting. Thank you.
for sure.
Yeah, I would just add that, again, master plans are about every 5 years. Zoning ordinance, like a full zoning ordinance rewrite, even if it's some of the, regulations substantially remain the same, just the, you kind of saw in the sample pages, the formatting, the graphics, this is kind of like a once every 20, 25 year endeavor, I would say, of where, we're going to look at everything and repackage it to make it more, user friendly and make sure that we haven't had, regulation creep, by having something one way for 20 years. That doesn't mean it's a bad thing, of course. But again, this is not something, a full zoning ordinance overhaul is probably not something we would, after doing it now, we would probably need to revisit to the 40s, 20 years from now.
Isn't our zoning from 20 years ago already? Right?
Depends on what part you're talking about.
It depends on which section.
I don't know if the standard has changed for how many inches of clay you need to have under your horse.
That's gone now.
I mean, it's,
I'm just saying, there's some
it
stuff that
depends on
hangs
how heavy
around.
that horse is. It could be 8,
Right.
No, right?
Right.
Yeah.
It's
And
tiny.
I would also just comment too, because I think Mr. Bood made a good point. This is, again, Planning Commission will be in the driver's seat on this for quite some time. And ultimately, council is the adopting body of both the master plan and the zoning ordinance. I know Mr. Drummond might like many hours of planning meetings and getting into the weeds, but this is going to be mostly done by planning, at least in the first part of the process. But again, as elected officials, there's going to be plenty of opportunities for public engagement throughout the whole thing. So just wanted to.
Thank you.
Can I
Yes.
just ask one question? So I actually misunderstood back when we did the Municode update. I thought essentially that this was what was being done then. So just so that everybody can understand, the Municode was more like matching our stuff up with state laws and federal guidelines that we didn't match with, right? But this is more of a granular, like, what do you want to see type of, I guess I'm just trying to understand what that one did versus what this one did, so how we're, like, building.
I would say Municode is more like editing, right?
Okay.
Editing and formatting, right?
Okay.
Like instead of, like if you remember, you might have wanted to wipe it from your memories, because I know I did, right? But when you went to look at our zoning ordinance, there was a PDF for each and every single
Yep.
section,
I had
right?
it all on paper.
Right, I had that too, it was brutal, right? So Municode really took all of those PDFs and put them into one big giant format, right? And reformatted it so it was easier, like literally a more outlined format, right? Because even the formatting of the old ordinance didn't always line up. It also kind of neutralized some of the language, right? Like you'd see it peppered in there like, oh, the village manager, he will do this, he will do that, and really kind of neutralize that he, she, or we, they, really kind of line those things up. We did make some tweaks when we were talking about the zoning, right? We made a few, that's where we talked about having it, we removed the process, right, of the referral from council to planning and then back again. That's when we removed that. So we made some minor changes, but you're right, and that the new ordinance will be granular, right?
Okay.
Like really looking like, are all the definitions that are in the ordinance, do we use those words?
Right.
Are there other things that should be defined at this point that aren't? And really taking a very thorough look at all of the regulations on a much more detailed level.
Okay.
And the Muni Code was applied to the entire code.
Right.
The
This
zoning
is
ordinance is just
zoning.
one chapter. Granted, it's, by word count, it's probably a third of the whole code
Right.
in and of itself.
Yeah.
Okay, so I just have one
Yeah.
follow-up question. So the one thing that I noticed from the change from, again, in my spare time flipping through the old paper code, is that there were some changes that I think that we approved that maybe I felt like I didn't realize was being changed.
Okay.
So, and that's fine, like, as I was just like, well, this whole thing is no longer, I need to just, paper not working. But when we're going through the zoning, will it come to us in sections? Will it come to us in a whole thing? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, usually as the sections are completed, then they come to us. I just want to make sure that we're not getting presented with such a huge group of changes that we don't have time to understand them in a way to make sure that we know how they're going to affect change in the community. And so I want to make sure that we get them in digestible, eat the elephant one bite at a time instead
Yes.
of being presented with a whole elephant.
Yes, you will. I mean, you'll get them in both forms, right? But we're going to work first, and one of the other things I really like about Giffords is that there's a very strong desire for them to educate too and make sure that there's good understanding, right? Like it's one of the things I really enjoy about them, right? But they will bring to us, and I don't know what order they're going to bring them to us, right? Obviously, we'll work through that, but it will come in chunks and say, okay, we're working on, say, the administrative remedies this week and the definitions and administrative remedies, and we'll work on that for a little while. We won't adopt everything, I don't imagine, until the very end in one big document, but we will work on those documents. And it may be one of those things where, like, all right, we work on, definitions for 1 month, and we get that nice and tight, and then we set it aside, we work on another section, and we work on the master plan, and then something that comes out of that later master plan chunk says, we need to go back to that definition and tweak some of this too. So it'll be a very collaborative kind of process.
Okay, great. I love the engagement with students. I think that's so
My favorite.
awesome and so important. Yeah.
So excited.
And if I would just add that, having done this before, the last thing we want is to give you a 200-page law and say, pass it with, in one go. That's not the approach we will take here. And then as we worked through, it was about 2 years in Grosse Pointe Park, on zoning, we would feed it. We'd kind of feed it in chunks, and then we would keep a historical record of here's all the drafts from the first go around, the second go around. We had a dedicated page on our website where people could go, and whether if it was a staff memo that was up, like everything was there all in one spot. So that's kind of how we'll proceed as well. So
Cool. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? All right, if not, you have a resolution, please.
Be it resolved, the Beverly Hills Village Council awards a proposal to Giffords Webster for master plan and zoning ordinance rewrite services pending final approval from the MEDC on the CDBG grant.
Support. Support for Mr. O'Gorman. Ms. Brown, would you please call the roll?
Ms. Rajewsko?
Yes.
Mr. Mercer?
Yes.
Mr. O'Gorman?
Yes.
Mr. Abud?
Yes.
Mr. Drummond?
Yes.
Mr. George?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Thank you. All right, get to work.
Have fun.
I'm gonna call
After you get approved.
Time to get wild and
Yeah, I mean, go get the money, but then,
No worries, that's first on the to-do list.
thank you.
Awesome, thank you, have a good night.
Appreciate the enthusiasm. All right, on to number 3, but number 3 and 4 go together. So what we're going to do is, number 3 is a public hearing on special assessments to be added to the tax roll. Number 4 is resolution adding special assessments to the tax roll. So we will ask for the explanation, and then we will open the public hearing for comment for all the comments sure to come. So Mr. Rothy, if you would give us some table setting on this, please.
Sure. So each year, we have to have a public hearing in order to review and confirm unpaid special assessments and utility bills. Essentially, what this means is if somebody is delinquent on an assessment or on any utility bills that were delinquent as of December 31st, 2025, they get added to the tax roll when we issue the tax bills in the coming months. So the grand total of these assessments for this year are $190,000, which is primarily delinquent utility bills. We had 119 properties that incurred a unpaid balance of $184,000. That balance is inclusive of our 10% penalty that is adds with each unpaid bill. So again, we have a public hearing. The other 3 items are for dust control, maintenance on Southfield Road, and then our sidewalk replacement program, which we funded mostly ourselves, but in some cases we funded through special assessments. Of those, 10 of them have not paid. So that's a new one this year, letter D in Treasurer Linksweiler's memo. So again, public hearing and then consideration of adding these to the tax roll.
All right, yes.
Can you tell me how the number of properties with delinquent water compares to past years?
I actually knew you were going to ask me that.
I just looked it up as well.
We had 120 last year, so we are down 1.
Okay.
So moving in the right direction. And not to nerd out, but if you divide the total balance by the number of properties, this year it's about $1,500. If you divide that by 4 billings, 4 quarters, it's $388, which is roughly our median bill. So these are basically people who are 4 bills behind or a whole year worth behind, who just don't pay the water bill and they get put on the tax roll, and we get the 10%, on each one.
Yeah.
And I did notice, curiously, that it's about 20% more dollar volume than last year, which makes sense as well.
Because of the rate increase. And again, both numbers include that 10% penalty on bills that are.
Mr. O'Gorman.
Just because I say this every year since I've been here, I know some people believe that some people like to do this so that it inflates their property tax bill and they can claim that as taxable relief. But for me, sidewalk replacement and delinquent water, can we make sure, I'm assuming there's a communication that goes to these residents in addition to the showing up on their taxes?
Yep. We send multiple notices out before it gets to this point.
Right. Can we include opportunities for people that are either fixed or low income that might be available for them to look into? Because I imagine not everybody on this list is doing this intentionally. It could be oversight, could be they just forgot, but there are some people that this is a budgetary limitation for them when you talk about hundreds to thousands of dollars. And I don't know if Next has resources or there's state resources, but if we have knowledge of avenues that somebody that might be fixed or low income can take advantage of, communicating that might be a benefit, because otherwise they're just panicking, right? Because now it's hitting their taxes. And if their taxes are also difficult to pay, that's just a burden upon a burden that I'd like to help some people out. Mainly our senior population that may be on a pretty tight fixed income with increasing costs year over year. So if we can just make sure those communications are included with the announcements, that'd be great.
Yes, Mr. Abood.
More of a comment. I know what Mr. O'Gorman just explained, and I know what you talked about, and I know what Mr. George just indicated as far as, but what drives this kind of a number? I'm just out of curiosity. I know the water follows the property, and I know in some cases if the property is a rental property and people are renting from there, that if they don't pay the water bill, it gets put on. But just from your experience, why do you suppose this is so high? Not to put you on the spot, just a comment,
I really have no comment because every community is different. This number has always looked a little different in every community I've worked at. I've heard the argument Mr. O'Gorman made about taxes and deducting certainly Again, would put this in context as we bring in roughly 8.5, 9 million a year in water rate revenue, so this is still a very small portion of that.
Okay, that helps. Thank you.
I'm dealing with businesses at work on receivables, and it's just people, I remember, forget it, doesn't matter. Great anecdote for another time. Not enough on the agenda. Yes, sir.
Could I ask a question?
Certainly.
Since we're talking about sidewalk replacement and delinquent ones here, do we start the next round of sidewalk replacements after the next fiscal year?
Yes, it'll start, contractor will start after July 1. We might be able to have that bid out in June, they're thinking-ish, but yeah, so we haven't started it yet, but we're about to, assuming council adopts, budget tonight.
Okay.
To move forward.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions before we open a public hearing? If not, at 7:51 PM, I would like to open the public hearing on special assessments to be added to the tax roll. So, if anyone online or in chamber has any comment they would like to make regarding the special assessments detailed in the packet, we intend to include in the tax roll, please step to the podium.
Keep going.
Or raise your hand online.
Buddy.
Not everyone at once.
Going twice.
If none, at 7:52 PM, I will close the public hearing on special assessments to be added to the tax rolls. All right, anything before we ask for a resolution on this? Very similar to last year. I think we talked it through. If nothing, Mr. Drummond, please.
Be it resolved, the Beverly Hills Village Council approves the unpaid assessments and billings to be added to the tax roll as outlined above.
Support.
Support from Mrs. Rajewsko. Ms. Brown, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Mercer?
Yes.
Mr. O'Gorman?
Yes.
Mr. Abud?
Yes.
Mr. Drummond?
Yes.
Mr. George?
Yes.
Ms. Rajewsko?
Yes.
Motion passed.
All right, thank you. On to next. Again, we've got two here that are kind of married together, or several that are married together. But we will, we have a public hearing, but we will open the public hearing after we do some table setting and explanation. So, number 5 is a public hearing on proposed fiscal year 2027 budget. And then we have several resolutions that need to be adopted in order to adopt the full budget, not only the budget in structure, but the rates necessary to generate the revenue for that. So, with all that being said, Mr. Roth, the floor is yours to get us to the point we can understand the budget and open a public hearing.
Well, you did a great job. Table setting for me again before we adopt the budget and millage rates and utility rates. We hold a public hearing. That's what we're about to do. Total revenues for the budget are $27.2 million. Total expenditures, inclusive of depreciation, $29.4 million. And I'm not probably best to wait till after the public hearing to get into more details.
Okay.
Unless you have questions.
I didn't know whether you were presenting anything budget-related. Nope, you're good?
Not at this point.
Okay. Anyone have any questions from council before we open a public hearing? All right. Hearing none. The budget is included in the packet, so hopefully everyone had a chance to look at that. At 7:54 PM, I will open the public hearing on proposed fiscal year 2027 budget. So if you're in chamber or online and have a comment on the budget, now's your chance. Sure, you can step right to the podium. Oh, no, because, see, we have this vast at-home audience, and we need to be able to get your name and your street and have everyone be able to see you. I can hear you, but...
It's very simple. You keep referring to it. I'm Patricia Colombo, and I'm new in this village.
Yeah, which street are you on?
Welcome.
You don't have to give...
Marguerite.
All right, great.
I just went from simple living to more simple living, but
Great.
I've been whacked a few times here just by taxes, water bill, and I'm
Okay.
whoa. And
Right. Right.
not my first rodeo.
Right.
Where the things go up, but this packet you keep referring, is that strictly your packet? Or is there
No.
something I should be going to some site?
It is published, if you go to the village website,
Okay.
there's a link right on the front page of the website that says View Council Packet.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that would explain all these assessments and all this stuff that's, yeah.
There is.
Bottom line, I want to see how much is my taxes going to go up again, or things like that, because that's been the rude awakening.
Yeah, so the rates we passed this evening,
Yes.
okay, are what drives the dollars that come into the village. So we've got general fund dollars and public safety, water and sewer fund. So the water and sewer is based on your consumption.
Okay.
The others are based on your taxable value, which is determined next door at Southfield Township.
Yes,
So-
quite aware.
Yes, and so we don't know how that changes, but the rates you get here, you can look at that year over year and see how that's changed. We pass historically, since I've been involved, we pass the millages, we go on the ballot for the millages every 10 years.
Okay.
And so we haven't been changing the millages. They've gone down slightly based on,
Well, for me, then moving from county to county, I went from Macomb to Oakland.
Okay.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah. Learned real fast.
yeah.
So,
So yes, and we're always, all of our contact information's on there. Got, who some of these people are now, so always happy to answer questions. But yeah, the packet is the first place you should look.
and be more diligent.
All of them for the last 15 years are online, so you can do all kinds of.
In here too.
Oh, I know. I'm just saying, if you want to learn the history, it's all there.
Okay.
If you ever can't sleep.
Thank you. Oh, no.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
yeah. Any other questions? Anyone online or in chamber? If not, we will close the public hearing at 7:58 PM. Now, on to the resolution adopting the fiscal year 2027 budget. Mr. Rothy, I don't know what else.
Yeah, so again, first I'll also say on the back of every agenda, whether it's online or in there's a QR code. If you scan, it'll take you right to our page where you can look at all our agendas, agenda packets, and minutes. So I just want to point that out as a resource. But again, before you is a resolution. You don't have to read all 5 pages. You can just start with the now therefore be it resolved on page 4. I think one of you tried to read the whole thing last year. And
That was my question.
But this resolution, again, is just adopting the budget. We adopt the budget on a fund and department level across our general fund, special revenue funds, and our single proprietary fund, which is our water sewer fund. Again, it's a boilerplate appropriations act as required by the village charter and the Uniform Budgeting and Accounting Act of the state of Michigan. Again, total revenues equals $27.2 million against total expenditures of $29.4 million. I or Director Cutie are here to answer any questions you may have before you consider the resolution that would adopt this budget.
And again, by way of education, this is, the budget is circulated to council, I don't know, a month ago. I can't remember the exact date we get it. Then we have a budget study session here a couple weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. And so council has had a lot of time and discussion on what's contained within the budget that sets the spending priorities for the year. All right, any questions from council? Comments? Nothing? All right. Mr. Aboud, you want to do the resolution? You going to do the 5-page version or the half-page
No,
version?
I'm going to do the 1 page, but I'm going to just start with, it is recommended the village council adopt the attached resolution adopting the village's budget for 2027 fiscal year. Now therefore be it resolved, the estimates of anticipated revenue and proposed appropriations are hereby adopted as contained in the accompanying summary documents as follows. And the estimates of revenue are adopted in total by fund, and appropriations are hereby authorized at the department function level, lump sum, and the estimate of revenues are adopted in total by fund, and appropriations are hereby authorized to be called or reallocated at the department function level, and The estimates of revenues are adopted in total, and appropriations for remaining governmental funds are approved in total for each fund, for the general fund and all the special revenue funds and all the proprietary funds, and the Village of Beverly Hills Village Council does hereby approve this resolution authorizing the adoption of the fiscal year 2026-2027 budgets as outlined and attached for all funds in accordance with the terms and condition contained herein. And that concludes the resolution.
Support.
Support for Mr. Drummond. Ms. Brown, would you please call the roll?
Mr. O'Gorman?
Yes.
Mr. Abud?
Yes.
Mr. Drummond?
Yes.
Mr. George?
Yes.
Ms. Rodusco?
Yes.
Mr. Mercer?
Yes.
Motion passed.
All right, thank you. Next up is the resolution adopting the millage rates for fiscal year 2027. Mr. Rothy?
Having just adopted your budgets, the proposed millage rates are required to meet said budget. The estimated revenue from the proposed rates is $11.8 million. All millage rates except for the rubbish or garbage millage, which remains unchanged at 1.4 mils, were subject to Headley rollbacks for the 2026 tax year. Since the budget workshop, Oakland County has reviewed the village's tax rate calculations, and the millage rate for general operating needs to be lowered by 1/10,000th from 1.7509 to 1.7508 mils. No other millage rates have changed since the budget workshop.
All right. And again, let me see if I can find it to make it. Yeah, so this is looking for my own edification at this point. 1343. 16.
Are you looking for last year's millage rate?
Yeah,
I'll
so
help you out.
to answer your question, rates-wise, what we're looking at this year, you can look at last year's packet, the first meeting in May, whatever the date of that was, May 6th, and it details the millage rates. Millage rates have gone down slightly year over year because Headley is this law that, so the millage rates have gone down because property values have gone up, and so we're only allowed to capture so much revenue based on property values going up. So rates actually are down slightly, but values are up. So anyhow, yes, yeah.
And President George,
Yeah.
if your house has not been uncapped, meaning it hasn't been sold, each year you are assessed an additional 2.3% or the CPI, whatever is less. And I'm sure that the consumer price index was far exceeded 2.3 last year. So if you looked at your assessment that you got March, maybe February, March, it would have roughly been 2.3% more than your last year assessment if you had no improvements to your home or if it wasn't uncapped, meaning it wasn't bought or sold.
And possibly even slightly less if people have built new houses, because when someone knocks down a 1,500 square foot house and builds a 7,000 square foot house, and it is assessed as a 7,000 square foot house, they pay different taxes. The village is still allowed to only capture so much in total based on all the values in the village, and so that actually benefits. It isn't a windfall for the village, it is a benefit to existing residents. So, enough of that, but yeah. Any other questions before we go down the Headley rabbit hole?
Nerding out on taxes over
Yeah,
here.
it's a good time.
I wrote my master's capstone on it.
Yeah. If no other questions, Mr. O'Gorman has a resolution, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah. Which is page 146.
146. Apologies.
You're good.
Get there eventually. Suspense is great. All right. Okay. So whereas the village council has adopted the annual budget for Mike. has adopted the annual budget for its fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2026, in accordance with state law and the village charter, and whereas the village council must also adopt a millage rate to be levied on the village tax roll for 2026, now therefore be it resolved, the Village of Beverly Hills hereby approves the 2026 millage rate for the village at 13.4316 mils to be distributed as follows: the general fund at 1.7508, Public Safety Fund at 9.2210, Library Fund at 0.7620, Park Improvement Fund at 0.2978, and the Rubbish Fund at 1.4000.
Support.
Support from Mrs. Rajewsko. Ms. Brown, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Abud?
Yes.
Mr. Drummond?
Yes.
Mr. George?
Yes.
Ms. Rajewsko?
Yes.
Mr. Mercer?
Yes.
Mr. O'Gorman?
Yes.
Motion passed.
All right, thank you. On to the last piece of adopting the funding mechanism for the budget, the resolution adopting water and sewer rates for fiscal year 2027 is number 8. Mr. Rothy.
Due to the anticipated operational and capital requirements of the water and sewer utility systems, proposed rate adjustments are included as part of the fiscal year 27 budget. The revised structure is based on the findings from the 2025 rate study that this council commissioned last year. What does this mean for an average resident? It's a increase of approximately 5% in their quarterly utility bills, which, if you do that monthly, $7.43 more per month. These new rates will take effect for all bills issued after July 1st, 2026. Have a resolution here, and I know there's more than just the rates on the resolution. I did think it would be helpful going forward as a community that all of our fees and charges for water and sewer stuff live in one document. So although there's a lot more than just the ready to serve and consumption charges here, none of those are changing from what they are or anything. It's just I wanted to have one sheet versus two. But again, the big ones are under the categories schedule of water rates and charges, and then the schedule of sewer rates and charges. And again, just for context, it's about a $9 million budget. It's about 4,000 customers. I need to raise $4.5 million from them just to pay for the water coming in the pipes and the sewage coming out of the pipes. So again, I have to raise $4.5 million from 4,000 homes before, and I don't even fix anything with that. It's just stuff flowing, so.
Right.
And Great Lakes Water Authority this year had increases that they get passed on to us through our memberships in Saukwa and Evergreen Farmington. Those are around, I think, 6% and 5% respectively for the water sewer systems. So again, this is largely just keeping in line with those increases that all communities in Southeast Michigan are experiencing.
All right. Any council questions or comments? Mr. Gorman.
It's not so much a question as just a request from Mr. Rothy. Just if you can remind everybody, because you kind of flew it very quickly, but I think it's relevant. We commissioned a study on that, and without going through the detailed findings, like how we adjusted things and why, but if you could give just a brief, 5-sentence overview on what that study actually did, because in the past I would say we operated with less sophistication on what we studied this time, so it'd be useful, I think, for people as our water bills continue to go up, for people to understand why, what was studied in that study and how we came to this assessment that we've done. I know I'm putting you on the spot, so I'm just looking for your 10,000-foot summary, not the details of the outcomes.
Sure. So it looked at, in a 5-year period, the needs of the system and the budget. So what do we need to spend to maintain our desired level of service? From there, it figures out, okay, well, what are the two factors? How much revenue do I need to raise on a cash basis to meet those budgeted expenditures? And it does so primarily, it looks at the water and sewer system as two separate systems, and it creates a fixed rate for each system and then a rate based on usage for each system. And it did that for a 5-year period of time, and it seeks to recover 30% of the costs after accounting for non-rate revenue like interest on our bank account or delinquent utility bills. Technically, those those get factored into how much less the rates need to go up. 30% of the 9 million is recovered through fixed charges. I'm not counting the debt service, which is separate, but a small part of the 9 million.
Thank you very much.
Other questions or comments?
Just one quick comment. You know, in the past couple of years, we've had to take some pretty substantial water rate increases, and I think that we're all happy that this year we get a bit of a cooling period. I've had people that have moved from other communities or, you know, see water rates in other communities, ask why, and part of what that rate study looked at is the fact that essentially the maintenance of the system is on the backs of all the residents, where in other areas like Troy or Macomb Township, there's a lot of commercial areas, and they pay a very different water rate than we do. So, you know, one of the advantages of being a bedroom community is our quaint vibe and our lovely sidewalks, but one of the things that sometimes we pay a little bit more for is we don't have those big commercial centers helping everyday residents with our water bills. And so I think that, you know, as every year is just something important to bring up to everyone, because I think that when, you know, residents compare their water rates to Southfield or some of the other things, they see a lower rate overall, and it is because, you know, we aren't a big commercial area. So, you know, us and our neighbors are stuck with a lot of the maintenance to make sure that the water that makes it to us, and more importantly, the water that leaves us, is properly managed. But I am very happy and relieved as a person that uses on the high end of those people of the water that we're only looking at 5% this year. That's all I have.
All right. Anything else before we ask Mr. Mercer to give us a resolution? Nope.
All right, hearing none. This is a resolution establishing the rates and fees related to utility services, water. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Beverly Hills Village Council as follows. 1, rates and charges. The Village Council hereby adopts the rates and charges as attached to this resolution as Exhibit A. 2, fee for a returned payment. A fee of $25 shall be charged for any payment of fees pursuant to this resolution that is returned to the village for any reason, including but not limited to insufficient funds, account closed, or referred to maker. 3, payment period, late fees. All bills for utility services shall be paid in full within the payment period specified in the bill. The payment period shall be established by the village treasurer and shall be no less than 21 or more than 30 days from the date of issuance of the bill, pursuant to Section 45-25 of the Village Code. If any bill for utility services is not paid within the specified payment period, a late payment penalty of 10% of the amount due shall be added to the bill and collected from the user. 4, effect of resolution. The rates established in this resolution shall apply to all utility service usage that will be billed by the village on bills with a billing date on or after July 1st, 2026.
Support.
Support for Mr.
President George, we don't often get hands up, but we noticed while Mr. Mercer was reading, we have a hand up, so.
Jablonski.
Sure.
Yes, sir. I was going with Jankowski, but, sir, if you want to give us your name, see a hand up. Kevin, if you want to give us your name, and please open for comment before we vote.
Hey, good evening. Kevin Jankowski, Mackenzie Court. I was just curious if the 2025 rate study that you were mentioned by Municipal Analytics is available for review.
There is a presentation, and we can find the date, but if you go, the search engine within the village website is pretty good. So if you go, just put rate study, water rate study, whatever, in quotes, you should find the packet. And if you find the packet, it was last year?
Yes. I'm going to update the website tomorrow with these new rates. I'll reference the presentation, kind of bring everything front and center.
If you can find the packet, it is also worth the hour of rewatching that part of the council meeting because we had about an hour's worth of discussion on that. That I have referenced that to other people. It's worth watching. It's a good discussion, I think. As good as the water and sewer rate discussion gets.
Appreciate it. I'll go try and find it. I tried earlier, but could not find it. But thank you.
I will. We'll try to point to it on the website. Mr. Rothy said he's going to update the water and sewer rate section, and we can probably link to that report. All right.
Thank you.
All right. We had a motion and support. Ms. Brown, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Drummond?
Yes.
Mr. George?
Yes.
Ms. Rajewsko?
Yes.
Mr. Mercer?
Yes?
Mr. O'Gorman?
Yes.
Mr. Aboud?
Yes.
Motion passed.
All right. Thank you. That marks the end of the budget fund, with the exception of the last discussion. See you, Mr. Johnston. The last thing on the business agenda, resolution adopting a general fund balance policy. This is something we had discussed previously. I'll say this before I hand it off, if I'm stealing your thunder,
Please
sorry. All municipalities, there is no manual that tells you what your fund balances should be. You talk to some and they'll say 20% of annual expenditures. Some say 3 months of expenses. Some, like us, don't have a policy written yet. So we had discussed a policy that made sense to administration, including the finance director. And so this is something we can do that is, I kind of view this, any of this infrastructure we try to build gets us directionally correct, whether that is the ultimate, yes, that's what we want to, and we keep it for 25 years, or next year we say, it doesn't make sense because of this, and we make a change. I don't care, but having some minimum fund balance policy makes sense just as good guidance so that we can try to be sure that we're planning for unforeseen events like, say, a weird little bomb cyclone that costs $700,000 to clean up. This is different than maybe some families would handle it because we have the handy feature of knowing that we have a steady revenue stream in the form of taxes, but you want to be able to cover unforeseen events and give administration, council, and residents comfort that the bills are able to be paid and that we can cover things as they come up. So, Mr. Rothy.
Thank you. Again, policy remains unchanged from March 17th when it was presented. It is just for the general fund. In my memo, which I won't belabor us by reading, if we want to do this exercise with public safety and the water sewer fund or other two main funds, that could be worthwhile doing at different times, on the public safety part in particular, coming in my manager report. But again, what this policy would be is it would require a minimum threshold of 20%, which is just over 2 months of operating expenses, plus the value of 1 mil, whatever 1 mil generates in taxes. And again, this is because normally it's just 20-25%, but again, most communities in their general fund include public safety, so just mathematically 20% is of a much bigger number, is a bigger number, and for us, just 2 months is not a good cushion. The 2 months, the 20% rather, plus the 1 mil is around 1.7 million mandatory reserve. It also establishes, and again, this is a guideline. This isn't you must immediately spend it down to get it to this level. It has in the form of a range. So again, I mentioned 20% plus 1 mil is the minimum. It would be 30% plus 1 mil on the high end. So if we're ever over that, which we are currently now, and potentially going into, I don't know how this fiscal year is going to end out, but I anticipate to be here this time next year when we're closing out fiscal year 27. We're going to be right around that high mark of 30%. So I think we're still, which is still, again, 10% above that minimum. I think it's prudent. I think in the coming months of council meetings as we talk about millage structure and everything, again, more to come in manager report. Again, I think this is something that at least for the next 4 years with our current millage structure, we can can use. It can be a North Star, if you will, for administration on how we are to think about our budget requests and prepare the budget. And then when we come to council again, it gives the council something as well to just guide your decision-making while preserving what we have for emergency situations, but also not, becoming not my bank account, but maybe somebody else's bank account.
Council, questions, comments?
I just think it's great that we're finally putting some sort of policy in place. I know we've always struggled with how much is too much to spend and how much is too much to hold on to. And I think that people pay taxes because they want it to be allocated towards resources for the village. But also, people don't want us to spend so much money that if something happens, they're worried if we can handle it. So being able to point to a policy and work around that, and if we need to down the line make adjustments, seems responsible. And I'm excited that we're doing this. I kind of wish we had thought about it earlier, but I'm glad we're doing it now. So thrilled to have this on tonight's agenda.
Any other questions, comments? Again, this is, in the time I've been here, it's been a massive period of transition. There was a time when the general fund balance had to support pretty much everything. We didn't have a water and sewer fund balance. And the split of public safety from the general fund, making those two distinct millages, I think goes back to 2010. During the downturn is when that was done. But when that split was made, there was no fund balance at public safety. So we've grown a separate fund balance at public safety. We've replenished the water fund balance through rate increases. So the general fund doesn't have to support those now, which is good. And we've got the general fund kind of right where we want it to be. So good guidance, like I said, as long as we're reviewing and deciding whether it works for our circumstances or not, I think we're in the right spot. So I'm also happy we're putting some guidance in place. This will remind councils if they're topped up a little too much, that we either need to adjust rates or talk about where it can be deployed. We have no lack of large-scale road projects coming that will probably want attention from those dollars. So, any other questions, comments before we ask Mr. Mercer for a resolution? Mr. Mercer.
All right. Be it resolved, the Beverly Hills Village Council adopts the proposed general fund balance policy as presented.
Support.
Support for Mr. Aboud. Ms. Brown, would you please call the roll?
Mr. George?
Yes.
Ms. Rajewsko?
Yes.
Mr. Mercer?
Yes.
Mr. O'Gorman?
Yes.
Mr. Aboud?
Yes.
Mr. Drummond?
Yes.
Motion passed.
All right, thank you. And the business agenda. Moving on to public comments. Anyone in chamber or online who would like to make a public comment, now's your chance. Good night, Director Cutie. Thank you. Anyone in chamber or online? Hearing none, we'll move on to the manager's report. Mr. Rothy.
Yes, a few items this evening. Again, June 2nd council meeting is approaching. It'll be at Groves High School in a little theater with a special guest speaker from the DNR about deer management strategies. There was a question earlier about the sidewalk replacement program for this upcoming calendar year, upcoming fiscal year, or current calendar year rather. Public Works is currently going out measuring those locations to identify what slabs need to be redone. Public Works is also doing a lot of other stuff. I'm trying to highlight them a little bit more in the manager report, so you'll see some items there, including doing some daily maintenance on the ball fields, as street sign services for Bingham Farms, gravel road maintenance. We're looking at repairing some of the disc golf course items, and we actually sent 2 of our employees to a training so that they can become certified playground inspectors, which hopefully will serve us well for our new playground that we are installing. So again, I always want to shout out to them. Union negotiations with Command. I should have a tentative agreement tomorrow that I will send to the union for review and comments before it would come back to both parties. So that is moving along. If you have not signed up to volunteer for the Memorial Day Parade, they are still in need of and searching for volunteers. The link in the report takes you to a sign-up page with different roles. A few other updates. At our next meeting, we are likely will have the ladder truck purchase request. Director Arnold has been hard at work on that. So be prepared for that at the next council meeting. We also, maybe not the next council meeting, but over the course of the next few council meetings, as kind of alluded to earlier, the village's millage structure again remains in there's a fixed allocation and what goes to where, general fund, public safety, library, parks. There's been talk since I've been here just about what is best for the village as far as what the allocation is, whether it's what do we do 4 years from now when the millage expires, or do we do something prior to. So Finance Director Cutie and I are looking at some options and just want to show, now that we've got our kind of general fund balance policy in place too, it's kind of the next step is to have an extended conversation about the millage rate. Again, I think there's no shortage of road projects that we might be able to accelerate or support with some adjustments to the millage, which again would need to go to the voters to approve, which would, I believe the date getting it to the county is early August, which is why kind of June, July, end of May. It'll probably feature at recurring council meetings if the council wishes to move forward this year with anything like that. Again, they certainly don't have to, but I think it's worth talking about and continuing the conversation. I want to give another shout out to Public Works staff. Our carport at Public Safety came in about $18,000 under what you approved, in large part because we were able to self-perform some of the work in-house. I want to give our village mechanic and Public Works team a shout out for self-performing some of that. So again, more money going back to the Public Safety Fund from, which is again why we're having a conversation. I also want to acknowledge real quick, actually before I do that, at the next council agenda, Southfield is about to start the 13-mile resurfacing project. We're sharing in the cost of that. In order to do so, there needs to be an agreement that the Village Council and the City of Southfield Council approve. I got the draft agreement on Friday. And
could you specify which part of 13 Mile before you get a lot lot of people excited?
So excited and so upset.
Yeah, no, I
thought he said 15 miles. Sorry,
No.
I was sorry.
I maybe did
13.
too. But 13 Mile from Greenfield, it's the far one that's green,
Yeah.
to Southfield.
Okay.
So that mile is, we're paying, I think, of our eligible costs, I think it's like 40% or so. It's a budgeted item for fiscal year 26. We'll have that contract at our next council meeting. Work will start on that soon. Last but not least, I have two shout outs. One, everybody who works here and elected officials themselves, it is Public Service Recognition Week. So I just want to acknowledge the work that all of you do and all that everybody here at Village Hall does to make this village such a great place. It's a great team. I love coming to work every day with these people. It is also Municipal Clerks Appreciation Week, so I'd also like to just acknowledge Clerk Brown and all she does for not just me getting through these meetings, but also just the village. She's likely she probably has the best and happiest customer service voice if you've ever called the village and had her answer. But again, it's a delight working with you, and I'm just excited that we've both kind of been in our roles as long as we have, a year together, and Chris has been here much longer, but not as the clerk. But again, it's wonderful to work with you in particular. That's all I have this evening.
Questions for Mr. Rothy? Mr. Aboud.
Just one question and one request. Question involves the 13 mile from Greenfield to Southfield. I know you said this is going to start soon.
Yes.
And you said the Southfield side is going to start their side first. Is that just so one lane's open? Because that really gets congested right about 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock from Southfield to Greenfield. And I just wanted the particulars. If you don't know them yet, perhaps you can just. check
Yes,
with them.
I'll be able to have that when we talk about it at our next meeting.
Excellent.
Yep.
And then the request is when, if it's okay with the public safety chief of police, perhaps that ladder, when it gets here, can it be raised all the way up and I'll sign like a disclaimer of liability? I want to just climb to see how high it goes.
Climb it.
Yes.
Who's going to get
It'll get
him?
here 2 years from now.
Who's going to get him down when he gets scared up there?
That's,
A conversation.
They are trained in search and rescue, so.
Get those drones out.
all right. Any other questions for Mr. Rothy? There you go. Didn't hear your hand, sorry.
Just building off that 13 Mile and our discussion around Beverly Road, I have a feeling that when 13 Mile is being worked on, that Beverly Road is going to be the alternate option. And so we should probably work really hard in making sure that we have some things in place before that happens. I know in the past, in other streets, we've used some speed humps, and that might be something to consider. Also, as far as the deer management meeting, I had a couple people come up to me at the park this, what day was that, Saturday, and just say that they hadn't heard that it was happening yet. Also, I think there is a good opportunity for confusion between the large auditorium and the small auditorium. I know I had no idea where the small auditorium existed until my kid went there, and even then, it was a while before then. So I think maybe if we can set up an event that people can respond to that maybe has a map in it of where the small auditorium is and what entrance to use. Also, maybe just to give us an idea of how many people might be coming. There was concern that the small auditorium may not be large enough. I think it probably will be, but I think that if we set up an event and can sort of keep an eye on numbers, that might be helpful, and then people can get updates and reminders and maybe even the agenda and stuff to that event ahead of time to have it all. But that might be helpful. That's all I have.
All right, good idea. It should fit. I'd be stunned. It easily holds a couple hundred people. So.
Please.
No, it just should. I mean, there's.
Not tall people.
I'm sorry?
Not tall people.
You want front row seats?
Seats are a little cramped. But
Little auditorium.
Yeah, I mean, it's in the name. It's in the name. Mr. O'Gorman.
Yeah, I was just going to add on to what Ms. Rajewsko said. In prior community I lived in, when they were closing streets, they put up temporary stop signs along the major trafficked roads, and it really eliminated that additional rerouting. They went to the other major roads. So just another thought. I'm not suggesting how to solve the problem, but it was one successful option. It was in Berkeley, and they have much more block structure than we do, but they put a stop sign in every corner, and what do you know, people just stopped going through there. So annoying for the residents, but I think I'd prefer stop signs in many stops to multiple cars. I live in Beverly as well, and it's a freeway sometimes.
Mr. Mercer.
George. A couple questions. One on safe routes, that program. Could we maybe get an update on when they're planning on finishing that work? Because I know that there's still one area that's still not done, and I know that, they were supposed to get it done, I think, maybe March or April, so that would be great. And then for the council meeting at the Little Theater, that's going to be recorded by the cable board for us?
I believe so, yes.
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 Mike says yes.
Cable board says
Right,
yes.
I mean, you could do it, they would do it live, I think they could do that. I just don't know that it's really that necessary, and it's probably an expense to do that. They've done that. That, we used the Little Theater and also Berkshire Middle School back in 2010 when we discussed the millage, and that was a big issue in 2010, and both of those were fine. Okay. Obviously, the middle school was a lot bigger because we used the cafeteria. That's just a bigger area, but there were no more people. There were probably fewer people at that event. I think actually we had 3 of those, and I think we ended up having used the Groves High School, also their their cafeteria, but the little theater held, it was fine. It actually a little better because people were kind of together. They weren't so spread out, so.
Good to know.
It worked, and hopefully have a good turnout. Maybe we do get standing room. That would be fine. And I think that was all my questions, so thank you.
Yeah. And I'll just say that I'll have more on safe routes next meeting. Earlier today, I got an email from the contractor with a few of the sites they need to come back and redo, finish up, and it was basically submitted to HRC to kind of review, make sure it was all designed right. That go-ahead wasn't received yet. Again, this is like 4 hours ago, but it's in the works and will be coming very soon, and I'll be able to talk much more at length about what that looks like at the next meeting, and perhaps it maybe even already started before our next meeting.
All right. Anything else for Mr. Rothy? All right. Director Arnold, you want to?
Good evening. I'm pleased to announce that it's been a slow 2 weeks for the village and the Public Safety Department, at least.
Love it.
We've done some spectacular work with some of our neighboring jurisdictions, assisting them specifically in Birmingham with the shooting that they had. Our officers were responsible for capturing the shooter and recovering one of the firearms. Royal Oak experienced a commercial business burglary. We deployed our drone. We were able to locate him, then direct Royal Oak police officers to detain him as well. And then recently, Berkeley had a garage fire that we also mutual aid responded to and assisted them in putting it out. So they're doing some great work, but we're happy that it's slow here in the village of Beverly Hills. I think that's a good problem to have. We graduated 3 public safety officers from 2 of the fire academies, 1 from Macomb, 2 from Oakland. That was just this past Thursday, so they are now cross-trained, police and fire. Additionally, our 2 officers that are in the Medical First Responder Academy passed the first round of their tests, and it qualifies them for the National Registry test to take for the Medical First Responder course. So we're accomplishing what we set out for to get our officers cross-trained. Everything is, we're on par for it. To address Ms. Calvary's concerns with the speeding on Beverly. I put out our traffic detector on 2 separate occasions so I could pull 2 surveys. A 24-hour period between April 20th and April 21st. Put it right at Bates. There's a poll for us at Bates that I was able to put it there. Combined, we had in that 24-hour period about 2,700 vehicles that passed through, 2,785 to be correct, with the average speeds combined being about 31.5 miles an hour. So a 6 mile an hour increase in a speed of a 25 mile an hour road does not seem like a lot, but that needs to be remembered that's average. The high speeds were between 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. and the greatest were in the area of 5 to 10 miles an hour over the speed limit, but we did have significant vehicles that were upwards to 11 to 15 miles an hour over the speed limit. So we put out some special attention traffic enforcement in that time frame. We did issue roughly 7 tickets, all for speed or speed related, 1 for a careless driving. So I believe the traffic enforcement is going to help, but it's also usually a short-term effect. So I think we need to find maybe a little bit better resolution to that. I additionally put the speed indicator out for a 48-hour time frame. I moved it up to Sheridan between April 29th and May 1st, and the combined vehicles were 51:15, so a little bit more higher traffic, but it was a longer time that it was out there. The average speeds were only 28.9 miles an hour, so a little bit lower. There's more stop signs up there, and then, of course, the turnaround at Greenfield slows cars down both coming and going. Again, traffic volumes were between 7 a.m. and 7 p.m., and the highest ones were, again, between the 5 to 10 mile an hour, but we did have multiple vehicles that were in the 11 to 15 mile an hour range. So I do think we need to focus some attention on finding methods to slow down the speed on Beverly, more closer to Southfield, though, than to Greenfield. I don't want to say the speed isn't concerning on Greenfield, but it's certainly more concerning on Southfield, specifically between Bates and Southfield. I want to speak with Director Johnston and see what his suggestions might be, what we have at DPW that we might be able to put in place, but certainly without a resolution or council discussion and consideration.
So we've been working on it and collecting data, right, from 2 weeks ago to now, and we'll hopefully have something soon.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Sure.
Questions, comments? Yes, sir.
Question. Looking at the report, I love this report. I love data, so it's just great. This is okay too, but this is words, you know. I noticed that total calls for service, are about the same roughly the last 3 months, but like traffic stops, traffic violations has decreased. In your professional opinion, because I value that more than what I could assume on this, is that because maybe the word is out from the 2 months prior that we are doing a little more enforcement?
Because we did such a great job in the 2 months prior.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Yes.
And I appreciate it.
Sure, thank you, appreciate that.
Any other questions or comments? Yes.
My question was, could you refresh my memory when will the construction on 13 Mile begin?
A few weeks from today.
So, I mean, like, timing is,
Yeah, we need to get on it sooner rather than later.
people won't be able to get on the driveway.
Yeah.
It's already an issue.
Number one, I want to say thank you because, and I'm sure part of this is just more staffing, but I live on Evergreen Road for everybody that knows, and so my street is a major thoroughfare for calls and response. And for years, it would sometimes drive me a little crazy because I would see patrol cars flying down with their lights on and no sirens, and like, I knew they were going somewhere, but also I was like, this just feels really dangerous. And then there are still officers responding, and they still often have their lights, but now always lights and sirens, always getting someplace quickly, but not in a way that feels dangerous for anybody that might be on the road, and less frequently, which makes me feel like it might just be more out in the community, so closer, and this could be me just making things up, but, I mean, it was very often that I'd be in my yard, and sometimes in a 4-hour time span, there'd be 3, 4, 5 patrol cars flying past my road, and you know, I see more patrol cars on the regular moving around, but I've seen less instances of that super high speed lights, no siren, and it just feels safer. And I really appreciate that for all of our kids that are around and hopefully people on the new sidewalk soon. And, you know, Mr. O'Gorman and I have spoken about traffic calming for many years, and we agree that turkeys have been just very effective. And so maybe if there's, no, I'm just kidding, but they do really help calm traffic. So if there's a way you can bring more turkeys in.
Saw one that was roughly the size of a deer on 13 Mile Road.
Yeah, they've really done a number in the past, especially at the Beverly and Southfield intersection, so bring the turkeys back.
I'll do my
That's all I
best.
have.
Anything else? All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Where does that take us? Council comments. Mr. Mercer.
Thank you, President George. I will admit I did not know it was Public Service Recognition Week or Municipal Clerks Recognition Day, week, month, year, but I will say, looking at today's agenda and what we accomplished tonight, the number of items that we had, these are big items that we tackle every year and take a lot of time and involve every one of the departments that make up our village and the administration. And it doesn't go unnoticed. Sometimes it goes unsaid that they do a lot of work, and we thank them for that work because it is a lot of work. It's something that's very time-consuming. It's very detailed. They do a great job, and I just want to thank them for that. And being that it's that week, I think that's even better. The other thing I would like to say about tonight's agenda is I'm extremely happy that we approved hopefully the final item for the playground to go in at Beverly. It precedes my time back on council, however, been pretty deeply involved. And since then, and it was really not a lot of fault of the council necessarily, just the fact of how things kind of fell and came together. whether you like how it went down and how much it cost, it's really irrelevant. It's kind of government, how it works. We're still paying less than we would have paid. That's a win for us. Overall, it's probably more, but that also is part of the issue with the way the grant money is handled. And if you don't like that, you can tell us and we can tell other people, but you also need to talk to people in Lansing about that because that is sometimes out of our hands, which it was in this case. I moved to this community in 2002, right before that summer, and they put in a new playground, and my kids loved it. A lot of kids have played on it. They still play on it today, and it's very tired, and it's going to be a great improvement to our park once the new playground is installed. So thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. Mr. O'Gorman.
No comments this evening, Mr. George, thank you.
All right, Ms. Rujusco.
I have a couple of things. I just want to, first of all, thank the Parks and Rec Board and all the volunteers that came to park cleanup. I had a soccer game early that morning, so I kind of swung in towards the end of it, and they got a lot of really great things done. And there was a decent turnout, maybe a little lighter than years past, so, but the people that were there really got a lot accomplished. The weekend, before I forget, I looked up, my brain can't remember to reply to a text message if I read it, but I can remember random dates. And the water rate study I confirmed was June 17th of 2025. And anybody looking for that, I would tell you when you're looking online, you want the agenda packet, not the meeting minutes. If you look for the minutes, that's kind of past tense and doesn't have all the information in it. The council packet would have the information that you're looking for, or of course the video. And then I went to a soccer tournament in Columbus, Ohio a couple weeks ago, and we stayed in Dublin. And I have always heard about the overlay district and never gotten to really experience something of that size in an area similar to ours. I'm going to be honest and say that in the past, I kind of thought it was a waste to even talk about or consider because it seemed like such a huge price tag, and I didn't necessarily understand how it would fit into a community like ours. I'm still not particularly sure of how we could make it happen or how it would fit, but walking around that weekend in that space, and seeing an opportunity for shops and also higher density living and what types of people that brought into a more prominent area, I think that it changed my mind a bit on my interest in an overlay district, in our overlay district, and seeing if we can engage and maybe make something happen. So I would recommend, if anybody ever has the delight of going to Columbus, Ohio, to maybe make the most of it and see what they've done in the suburb of Dublin. It is really quite interesting, and from what I can tell, the size that they are inhabiting is almost exactly about the size that our overlay is, maybe even a little smaller. And fun fact, the developer of that district is well known by a resident in our village and is from this area. So it was interesting, and it kind of changed my mind on things. And so I'm, interested to see what the master plan conversation around that holds. That's all I have for tonight.
All right, thank you. Mr. Abboud.
Thank you, Mr. George. Yeah, I too wasn't aware of the clerk and any of that, but I wanted to thank Clerk Brown for everything that she's done. I also wanted to thank Manager Rothy for everything that you have done this past year and all the accomplishments you've made and the difference you've made sitting in not only there, but running this building as well. Having said that, I wanted to report on SEMCOG has announced a plan for 2027, a planning assistance program funding, which supports local planning projects that advance regional priorities across Southeast Michigan. These priority areas include transportation, safety and accessibility, multimodal corridor planning, and pedestrian-friendly streetscapes, trails, and greenways, stormwater management, and multi-community corridor planning. Funding caps are generally $45,000 per project, with $75,000 available for multi-community corridor projects, including a required local match. Applications are open through May the 25th. The Elected Officials Academy, as I told you, that we canceled the meeting, but now it's back on, and the promotional outreach is tomorrow for the Michigan Municipal League. Cable Board, I commented on how we're addressing the digital divide, especially for our senior population. I also commented on financial sustainability when dealing with limited franchise fees, particularly the funding impact over the next 5 to 7 years in the future. And finally, I promise you, I'll be sure to address the audio, and especially, in particular, these microphones. And I believe our meeting is this coming Wednesday at 5:30 in the morning, or the third Wednesday of this month.
5:30 in the morning?
Is it 5:30 still?
7:45.
All right, 7:45. All right, great.
If you get here at 5:30, make sure the chairs are out.
All right. Next being, okay, thank you. I was just trying to get you to smile. All right. Next, the community center that serves Birmingham, Beverly Hills, Bingham Farms, and Franklin are currently working in the building layout and the class placements. I hope to attend the financial committee meeting where I can help with revenue, generating ideas, and especially fundraising. Senior Advisory Council is able to secure SMART, the Suburban Mobility Authority for Regional Transportation, a representative to attend our May 18th, 2026 meeting in person at the 1200 building to present on transportation for seniors and veterans in Southeast Michigan and in Oakland County limits. I also want to recognize and hope that a certain young lady, adult, professional who's empathetic, outstanding, and brilliant, who has applied for a multi-$1,000 scholarship to hopefully receive the promotion or the competitive scholarship. Speaking of scholarships, LTU Scholarship Gala is taking place at the new Hudson's building they call it the Hudson's Detroit, on Saturday, May the 16th. There'll be a cocktail reception, dinner program, silent auction, afterglow reception. It's almost like a New Year's Eve party, but the cool thing about it is you can't just park your car, you're gonna have to valet it. And if you do valet your vehicle, they're gonna give you a beautiful care package to take home with you. So all I wanted to do is say, if you're passionate about education, in particular, engineers, architects, managers, and future leaders, please, please, please see me after, and I've got this first-class invitation, and I can't just hand these out. I really want to know that you're available on that 16th before I give you one of these. But anyway, hopefully the people that I did send some invitations out to can at least respond and let me know if they're in or out, because I only have 6 more chairs to fill, and I'm hoping that 1, 2, 3. Oh, so there you go. I think we may have all 6. Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Drummond?
Echo the comments from Mr. Aboud and Mr. Mercer, thanking administration and Ms. Brown for her service. That's all I have.
All right. I got a bunch of quick things, but I'm going to try to make it fast so we can be out of here by 9.
Go Pistons.
Go Pistons. So we can be out of here. We got 6 minutes. First, I will call to memory the comments from one of our great fictitious public leaders, the director of the City of Pawnee Parks and Recreation Department, Ron Swanson, who said, you choose a thankless job, you can't be upset when nobody thanks you. Don't start chasing applause and acclaim, that way lies madness. So I think about that a lot. I remember the episode. It is the nature of this profession that we always want the next thing and more. And so we thank you for everything you do. We had the Director of Public Safety, the Director of Public Works, the Director of Finance, all here tonight, along with the clerk and the manager and our village attorney. So I appreciate everything that everybody does to make this village work on a day-to-day basis. It's a lot of work, And you get the thanks, but it's what's next, what are we doing next, what else can you do for me? So nature of the job, and I appreciate people who choose this as a profession because it can be a lot. So we can be a lot, or at least me. Everyone else here is a prince, and so we're all good. Thanks to everyone who could make the park cleanup. I was double booked, and I have a section of that I plan to go pull the sticks out of to clean it up for a good resident who backs up to it. Public safety, thank you for doing that. I am very interested in a conversation with Public Works and Public Safety around, more interested than I should be in a conversation around road humps, speed bumps, the difference, the size, the placement, the permanence. Other adjoining municipalities do them permanently. It feels like something we should be able to explore. There is more of a science behind it than I assumed, and the design of them determine the type of speed you're trying to control. So want to do that. Did look up Grove's Little Theater holds 312 people, so that doesn't include us sitting at the podium or the stage or whatever. So hopefully that's adequate. Big shout out to Toby. They're moving fast. I see some of the grading. I'm worried. I can't wait to see how we restore that. But I love the fact that they're knocking it out, really getting after it. So that's good. Public Service Recognition Week, I addressed that. Safe routes, I am interested to make sure before we close that down. I was walking along 13 Mile and there's some of the new panels that have a bunch of spalling. I don't know if that's a product somebody put on there or if that is something we need to be addressing because it's workmanship or how it was poured, but I want to make sure we are going over that with a fine-tooth comb and anything that needs to be addressed is being addressed before we shut that contract down. Budget, I know that's a ton of work. I am glad that Liz was able to walk out quietly, the fact that we deal with this quickly behind the desk is not an indication of us not paying attention. It's an indication of the fact that we've been swimming in this for a month plus and have a special meeting to go through it and make sure that we understand what we're doing and that we're being intentional with the projects we're taking on. So I appreciate that. The millage, as Mr. Rothie alluded to, when we set the millage, and I've got 3 minutes, so we're going to get there. When we set the millage 16 years ago now, and we divided general from public safety, we did it for good reasons. The general fund I think of as the point guard. It can feed the basketball to any other fund, but we can't take public safety dollars back into the general fund in the same way. So we right now are in a great spot in public safety. This is no reflection on the team or the director, but it is building a fund balance to the point where we're going to have the luxury of being able to write a check for a new ladder truck, which is something not everyone can say. But we want to make sure that we're not growing that unnecessarily, and so that's why we're going to have a conversation about possibly adjusting the millage so that we have some of that, instead of going into public safety fund balance, going towards the road projects that we need to be addressing. So look for that conversation come soon. Thanks for hopefully putting a nail in the coffin of the playground discussion. Agree with Mr. Mercer. Sausage is ugly to get made. Hopefully it tastes delicious once the artificial turf is installed, if I can mix my metaphors. So glad that's almost done. Overlay, that is the Downtown Development Authority, and they're trying to get the people there involved in that conversation to try to figure out how to do that. Back to the road humps, I did see an officer there when I was proceeding east who eyeballed me seriously, but realized I was
Clearly not speeding.
I was a solid citizen, so we smiled and moved on with our day. And the last thing, Jazz in the Park is coming in May, third weekend in May. 8:59 p.m. I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Support.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thanks, everybody.